Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful day, and I decided to just pop on for a couple of minutes. I won't take much time, but I thought I would share something that the Lord was speaking to me this morning. I was scrolling through X and catching up with a whole bunch of news, and there's so much that's happening today in the world. You have Israel and Iran, and then you have the rioting, what many call insurrection, and so there's like trouble everywhere you look. And I put my phone down and thought, I'm trying to keep up with all of this, and I just sat and took a deep breath in and asked the Lord, what do you want to speak to me today about? And as soon as I said those words to the Lord, instantly Mary and Martha came to mind. And we're all, I'm sure, very familiar with Mary and Martha. Jesus has come to their house, and he's, talking to everybody that's there. And I'm sure, there would be the disciples there. I don't know who all else would be there in the house. I'm sure Lazarus, of course, was there. And we have Mary, who is sitting at the feet of Jesus. This is a woman that's sitting at his feet and so hungry and desirous to know more about him. And then we have Martha, Mary's sister, who is distracted with serving. And she actually becomes so distracted that she's saying, comes to Jesus and, can't you do something with my sister? I'm doing all the work here. And one of the things that Jesus says to Martha is, why are you worried and troubled about so many things? And I realized as I was sitting there thinking about this story, reading it, that we can become so anxious today with all the troubles that are going on. We can be distracted. The best thing we can do is to sit at his feet. And years ago, I did a message where we can rest in stress or work at peace. It's easier just to rest in stress. It takes work to keep your peace. And so I don't know, maybe this will impact someone or touch someone today. Maybe you're in that place where you're working hard, and the Lord wants you just to come away and rest in him, or just sit and listen for his voice today. Anytime we can be like a Mary or a Martha. We might be very busy. I remember a time when we had a property, and to mow that property would take about 4 hours. And it was on one of those mowers that turned on a dime. It was really a fun mower to drive around with. And I love being outside, and I love being even in the sun. And I love mowing. I grew up, mowing, working on a farm. And so I enjoy work, although sitting on that mower was easy, but still it was something that I enjoyed. And so I would be out mowing, and I'd be hot and sunburned and sweaty. And I'd come in the house, and sometimes maybe the dishwasher wasn't done or the house wasn't picked up. And I began to take on a little attitude. I've been working 4 hours mowing this yard, and no one is doing what needs to be done. Or they don't see what needs to be done. That's whoever was in the house. I started thinking, that's just like Martha. And, it's not fair that someone else gets to sit while I do all the work. And I realized it's an attitude, and it's a comparison game that the Lord wants us to stay away from. He wants us to be like Mary, where we can sit at his feet and know that, there's moments where we're all going to be busy. And maybe, you volunteered to teach Sunday school or the children's church, and you begin to take on an attitude because you know someone who's just always in the service. They get to enjoy it. And it brings me back to, why did I ever volunteer to do the mowing? I didn't get paid for it. Why did I do it? Because I enjoy being outside. I enjoy even being in the sun. There's something about just being in the outdoors that is peaceful for me, but it's keeping my thoughts in line. And that's really what Jesus was addressing with Martha. You know, you're troubled, you're anxious. It was all about her thoughts. And may today, with everything that's going on in the world, that we find that place with the Lord of finding his rest, his peace, and knowing that, you know, at any time we can come away. In other words, pull back from whatever the activities are. And a lot of times it can even just be in our thoughts. We may be working, right? You can't pull away from your job and just sit, but in your thoughts, you can just sit with the Lord. What that means is we think about him and we honor him and thank him for the very breath that we breathe, and knowing he gave us a new day. And I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful that I can find the peace of the Lord in the midst of all that's taking place. And even, you know, times where I can get so busy and busy and busy. And then other times, you know, it might not be as busy, but not comparing myself with anyone else. And recently the Lord had spoken to my heart. I felt impressed of the Lord anyways, that it was time for me just to rest. And then a leader had gotten a hold of me and said the same thing. This is a time of rest. Well, if you're a worker, a doer, that's really hard to do because you just want to be doing. But there was something that happened that day with Mary and Martha when Jesus said, Mary has chosen the better part and it won't be taken from her. Whatever God is doing in our lives, whether it's resting or working, but we're resting in him, we're at peace in him. We know that all things work together for our good because we're called of him. We're chosen of him. We are his people. So my prayer today is that with everything that's going on in the world, that we find our peace in the Lord. Just like the Bible says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways, everything we do, we acknowledge him. Well, I just wanted to pop on and share a little bit of what the Lord was speaking to me this morning. I pray that it blesses you and serves as a reminder that we can. It's so much easier just to rest in the stress of everything happening. But working at peace can be somewhat of a challenge. May you find his peace today, and may you rest in his peace. Well, God bless you, and thank you for joining with me today. May you be blessed of the Lord.